Connor Zilisch continues his insane form in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Plus, Denny Hamlin says all will be revealed with the NASCAR lawsuit. And Carson Hocevar and Josh Berry talk about their incident from last week. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well on this Saturday night. We've got a little bit of action to talk about from the Delaware coast out in Dover, the Monster Mile, but some rain did affect the day's action on track. We'll get into all of that, but of course, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing here at Breaking Bob. NASCAR content on a daily basis helps me out a ton as well. But yes, let's get into the action from the very first state in the United States, the Monster Mile Dover. And, Cup Series didn't get any action as practice and qualifying was rained out, but the Xfinity Series did manage to get some on-track action, although, 65 laps short, I believe it was, as rain shortened the race today for the race there. It was a straightforward race for the most part, no cautions for incident, just stage breaks, but yes, Connor Zilisch once again just continuing the insane form this 18, soon-to-be 19-year-old Trackhouse loaned to Junior Motorsports driver this year in the Xfinity Series. It's inevitable he will be in the Cup Series next year, but the insane form that he is on, his fourth win in the Xfinity Series, third in the last 6 races, and now this is true first oval win. Everyone's going to say Pocono, but this is truly an oval at that mile concrete oval out in Delaware. Impressive form for Connor Zilisch, who took the lead at the beginning of stage 2. His pit crew got him out on the cycle there and never looked back, leading, I believe it was 77 laps, and just truly dominant fashion today for, again, just a prospect that the ceiling just, he continues to shatter all expectations, just breaking through that ceiling that we think that every time we set for him, it just exceeds all these expectations. Impressive. Again, he's going to be in the Cup Series. That announcement is just inevitable for Trackhouse in the 99 car, but for Connor Zilisch, a dominant showing once again today at Dover. Makes you wonder, looking at the regular season standings now, could he really potentially catch Justin Allgaier, who, looking back, it's 5-6 races ago, Allgaier was, I think, 380 points above Zilisch. He had a commanding lead in the regular season, and Zilisch has just eaten into that lead, and now another win. The form he's on, and that's considering he missed the race after Talladega with that vicious crash. He missed the Texas race. The form Connor Zilisch is on is just absolutely blistering pace there. Impressive to say the least. One driver very frustrated, though, with this rain getting called early was Taylor Gray in that 54 camp for Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, Taylor Gray qualified on pole, led the entire first stage wire to wire, and then a slow pit stop put him back into, I think, 22nd, 23rd to start stage 2. Was able to get up to 7th when that rain delay came out, and it's a what if really for Taylor Gray in the 54. Still looking for his first career win in the Xfinity Series. Still trying to get Ty Gibbs a first win as an owner. Yes, Ty Gibbs is the owner of that 54 technically, with Joe Gibbs Racing at least listed there. But another week where Taylor Gray has so much speed and potential, but something else goes wrong here. Again, another 60 laps there. Would he have been able to catch Connor Zilisch? It's hard to say with the pace that 88 had, but if there was any car that could have matched it today, I do think that 54 car could. For the top 10 today, it was Connor Zilisch, Eric Almirola, Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier, Jesse Lev, Ryan Sieg, Taylor Gray, Sheldon Creed, William Sawalich, and Christian Eckes in your top 10 today for the Xfinity Series. And Harrison Burton Fringe on 11th there. Really a good recovery day for him in points as well. But I want to give a highlight to William Sawalich as well in 9th there. Another week we're continuing to recover what has been a very, very tough start to his rookie season. You saw him win the ARCA Menards race out in Sonoma last week and then equal that with another bounce-back performance, nearly equaling the pace of Zilisch and SVG for a little bit in Sonoma last week. William Sawalich, a top 10 at Dover. And the equipment with JGR, it's going to have expectations, and it does have fast expectations. But when you look back, we're at Dover this week. 16 years ago, Joey Logano, I talked about in my video a couple of days ago. He's looking now at 600 starts this weekend. His tumultuous start with Joe Gibbs Racing, everyone thought maybe this guy's gotten the label of being this great prospect and maybe he's all that, but nothing. William Sawalich, I think maybe we were a little too quick to write him off. He's still learning at the end of the day, but another good result for him. And also, Kaz Gralla finished a couple of laps down in the Hour Motorsports entry for their final race in the Xfinity Series. Of course, Chris Wright released from the team earlier this week, and now Hour Motorsports, their final race as they're wrapping up production and racing. It's, I guess A shock to see it fold in the middle of the season. They're racing quality. I mean, you look last year at the Dash for Cash with Anthony Alfredo, where they won the Dash for Cash at Dover. Just crazy what happens in a year, but that is the NASCAR world ever changing. Although one part of the NASCAR world that is always changing is, I'm sorry, we got to talk about it, is the NASCAR lawsuit. And Denny Hamlin was actually on the broadcast today for the CW at Dover, a guy that knows this track pretty well, won a couple of races there a few times in his career, and really, really good on the broadcast. I thought he brought a lot of insight, was calling out when to look at potential battles. Maybe not the most polished broadcast, but he definitely got, I think, the viewer understood what the viewer wanted to see and conducted it, and I think in a really good way, especially for a guy who not consistently on there, but does have a podcast presence. I think he was well spoken today for CW. But he did also talk today to the media, and this is on the heels, of course, as the owner, Denny Hamlin, and his 2311 and Front Row Motorsport, both teams got word that they were not going to be granted their injunction from NASCAR. They were going to be open entries for the next 2 weeks at Dover and Indianapolis. Denny Hamlin finally speaking to the media, and listen to this quote. If you want answers and you want to understand why all this is happening, come December 1st. You'll get all the answers you're looking for, and all will be exposed. Now, it's an ongoing lawsuit, so Hamlin's not going to just go into complete detail on this, of course, but, just to say, wait till December 1st, all will be exposed. Heavy words, and it's very clear they have no intentions right now, at least publicly, of settling with NASCAR. Now, they're the ones that are always talking publicly. NASCAR has a lot more to keep to the vest publicly. They're not going to be the ones speaking out about this lawsuit, but, for Denny Hamlin to come out with strong words like that, to say that, on the heels of them, losing that charter status for their 3 cars at 2311, and then Front Row Motorsports also losing their 3 charter entries, at least for the next 2 weeks for the time being. We are going to see this dragged out, it sounds like, till December 1st, and if that's the case, it's going to be all or nothing for NASCAR versus these 2 teams. I have no idea what the repercussions of this could be if it doesn't settle out of court between them, but at this point, who knows what to say. It's a developing story as always, so stay tuned. I'm sure we'll be covering this each day that somebody speaks out about it. Lawyers are getting paid well, that's for sure. And more notable talk around the garage was Carson Hocevar versus Josh Berry. Of course, their incident last week at the end of Sonoma where Hocevar got pushed around by Berry there at the end of the race, running decently for the Spire 77. And a lot of people said, well, this has been coming for Carson Hocevar, but Josh Berry actually did feel remorseful about it. He called it a complete mistake and even tried to call Hocevar on Monday, but he never got back. He did call his crew chief, Luke Lambert, as well. Quote, laid off the bottom of turn 1 and was trying to time it to where I could get up beside Carson to follow the 45 through. It was just too fast at the top of the hill, got too far left and knocked him off the track. We were old on tires, and for me, just probably trying a little too hard in that situation. Trying too hard in that situation, that's the name of the game in these restarts, especially late in the NASCAR Cup Series, where these cars are in theory on equal playing field. You got to give every single moment. You got to take it if it's opportunity there. And these restarts are really some of the only times that multiple positions are available for these drivers. So, no harm, no foul, if you ask me. And I think Carson Hocevar was the same, although interesting quote from the young driver. I just don't like the whole pony show of calls on Mondays. Nothing changes with a call. It doesn't change anything. Now, Hocevar did elaborate later with a media scrum, saying that, the reason why is that even if you do feel bad or if you do an intentional, you're just calling just to basically call just to show face there. It's just cordial. He said, what's the point there? And I do like that for Carson Hocevar. At the end of the day, these guys are going out there. They're competitors. They're out there giving their all at 200 miles an hour, 180 miles an hour, inches apart from each other, giving and taking. It's going to happen. There's going to be hurt feelings. At the end of the day, you move on to the next week. So, like how Carson Hocevar's handled, he said it's rare to be on this side of the coin for once there. He's great with the media, if nothing else. Maybe the drivers don't like him. Some fans think he's abrasive, but he's entertaining for sure and gives us something to talk about. And for somebody who has a NASCAR channel on YouTube, definitely helps for sure. And wasn't a ton to talk about on track with the Cup Series getting rained out for practice and qualifying, but we do have Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe, the Chases, on the front row for Dover tomorrow at the Concrete Mile. Chase Elliott, of course, has won there in the past. Will be interesting to see what happens there. And Shane Van Gisbergen rolling off 6th thanks to that qualifying and practice metric. And he's even said he's a little apprehensive, nervous to see starting that close to the front on this oval. He's never raced in the next gen before, but No place like getting thrown into the ringer than the Dover Monster Mile. There we'll have all the I'll have all the content and action and recap from the post race tomorrow night from Dover. Of course, make sure to stay tuned for that. Subscribe to Breaking Bob. Like this video if you liked what you saw. It does help me out a ton. And like I said, I will see you tomorrow night for post race action from the Monster Mile. Stay tuned for more, folks. Stay tuned. See you next time. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.